I honestly don't know what to say about this company right now. WWE Money in the Bank 2020 was shit. The last match is shit. The results are shit. Now, before this Money in the Bank match, before the actual Money in the Bank match happened, this show was not that bad. They had some good matches, wrestlers performed well, and the problem I have with this entire pay-per-view is, of course, the booking decisions, what management has done, and how they overuse things. I'm going to get into everything about this, but let's start off with the pre-show. The pre-show had Cesaro and Jeff Hardy. This was a very good match. Jeff Hardy was easily counting Cesaro at the beginning of the match. He was doing a good job. And then Cesaro, after Jeff Hardy does his aerial maneuver outside the ring, he gets caught, and Cesaro puts him into kind of like a backbreaker on the apron. And the thing is, Cesaro takes over for the match. What I have the greatest flaw with this match is that Cesaro was winning the match, or he was so offensive during this entire match. He did a suplex off the top rope, not a regular suplex. It's a certain type of move he does over the top rope and all this stuff. He was getting aerial maneuvers. He was lifting Jeff Hardy around like a rag doll. And Jeff Hardy does a couple of good counters, but then again, to me, this match, even though it was wasteful, it was a good match. They showed both superstar strength. The only part I didn't like about this, Cesaro got way too much offense, and then Jeff Hardy won by his skin of his teeth. This was a very good match. This should not have been on the pre-show. This should have been on the main show, if anything. But overall, I will give this match a B. It was a good match. It lasted for 13 minutes. It was a solid pre-show match. I enjoyed this match. But again, Cesaro loses again for the pre-show, and he's a wasted potential WWE superstar. But overall, good match for the kickoff show. The next match was the Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This match I was entertained by every single moment. Granted, did WWE build up any of these tag teams? No. Did we gonna get a predictable outcome? Yes. Because, again, when you put the New Day winning the tag team titles on a random episode of SmackDown, and Miz and Morrison lose the tag team titles, then we all know what's the ending going to be. We all know the New Day's not going to lose because you're not going to let the champions who just won 2, 3, or 4 weeks ago have them lose the titles now in a fatal 4-way. There's no way in heck. So the outcome was predictable. It would have been much better off if Miz and Morrison never lost the titles, and then they lose the titles and Money in the Bank to the New Day. That would have been some some new buzz, some new day. But overall, this match was besides the booking decisions, and the story they were telling before the actual match happened, the match was solid. Grand Metalik did a super Spanish fly off the top rope with John Morrison, and they land on a couple people. Big E and Kofi did a big, a powerbomb stomp combo. The Forgotten Sons got good offense. The Lucha House Party looked fantastic. All these teams are talented, and they did a great job doing for their minutes. I think they had they had 12 minutes during this entire match. So I enjoyed the Fatal 4. This was actually a solid opening to the show. And at first, I'd rather have a women's ladder match first, but this was a good solid start, and I'm like, you know what? I can't take away from this. I can't really take away from this match. So, the Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, good match. I was entertained. A B. So far, as you see, a B, and it's good so far. Then we get to R-Truth and MVP. This was not on the pre-show, but this made the main card. I have no idea why. Cesaro and Jeff Hardy. Oh, no. Yeah, that has to be on the pre-show, but this shit has to be on the main card? I mean, I had some enjoyment with R-Truth making fun of MVP and see ballin' and all like this. So here's the 2-pointer, here's the 3-pointer. I like that of R-Truth. But the problem is, though, this is like a Monday Night Raw thing, and then Bobby Lashley comes out, says to MVP, I'll take care of it, man. And he whoops R-Truth in 2 minutes. This was a D-. This was not worth a segment. This was not even worth 2 minutes. Kept this thing off the show, you should have. Next up match would be Bayley and Tamina. Now, this was a predictable outcome as well. Bayley obviously was going to be Tamina. In this case, Bayley was acting like the cowardly heel and all this stuff, slapping Tamina around, getting her aggressive. Tamina was conquering Bayley for the most part. Then Bayley gets her outside, takes out her legs, hit her legs against the ring post, continue working the leg. They had a nice counter with Tamina going for the super kick to Bayley, her finisher, and Bayley counters for a submission. and Bayley's in control. She says to Sasha, "I need some water," so she starts drinking some water. She takes it from the table. She drinks little sips of water and splashes the water in Tamina's face. Tamina gets all aggressive and all that stuff, and she gets her back into the game. She super kicks Bayley, then goes for a Samoa drop. And when she's gonna go for the cover, Sasha Banks comes in for the bit. Tamina chases her around like an idiot, and then Bayley grabs onto her, tries to get her in the pin. Like Tamina gets into a Samoa drop, but Bayley counters and gets a pinfall. So Bayley retains the title. Obviously, that was going to happen. Sasha Banks attacks Tamina at the end because Tamina still had Bayley in a Samoa drop position. So overall, this match, even though it was just a standard process. You had to get through this other challenger so Bayley could now start feuding with Sasha Banks later on. I kind of wish we see a little bit more tension between Bayley and Sasha Banks. At the end, I'd say it was a little bit too friendly, but overall, we all know where the story's going to lead to. So for me, this was just a very skippable. It was a skippable match, but I watched it and I'm like, you know what? It wasn't that bad. I had a good time with it. It was a good match. A B minus. They told the story about the strong opponent versus the weaker opponent and all that stuff, but the cowardly heel versus the upcoming challenger. It was a good match in my opinion. So it was a B minus. So again, all these matches so far are good matches. Even though it was fairly all the outcomes were very predictable, we all knew what was going to happen. Now, the next match is Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. And we all knew WWE booked themselves in the corner because, they booked Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion and Bray Wyatt couldn't lose a match or as a Fiend. So they did the only choice they had available. They put Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman, not the Fiend versus Braun Strowman. They're going to build up this entire thing and how the Fiend will get his revenge and beat Braun Strowman and take the title eventually off of him. It's going to happen. Braun Strowman got his first title defense, and I think this will be his only title defense against Bray Wyatt because the fact is, there's no way in hell the Fiend's going to lose to Braun Strowman. The beginning of this match, Bray was taking a pain. He was liking it. This was very similar to how The Miz and Bray Wyatt first fought. How Miz kept beating up Bray Wyatt, and Bray was liking the pain and all that stuff. Basically, Bray was winning the entire match. Braun was beating up Bray for the entire part of the match, until it leads to somewhere where Bray kicks Braun down, and he goes to the apron. He's knocked out for a second. Then we just see Braun put on the black mask, and Bray's like, "I told him you would change. I told him it's gonna be different this time, Braun. It's gonna be different this time." I like that little odd bit of storytelling. And then Braun shakes his head. He gets rid of the mask and pins Bray Wyatt with his finisher. My personal opinion, Braun Strowman should never been Universal Champion. He's not worthy to be a Universal Champion. I think the storyline is going to go with Braun Strowman getting... If anything, I would book this. Bray Wyatt as a Fiend beats Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman becomes a slave. Then later on, Braun Strowman eventually gets the title back at WrestleMania. If we really want to build up a new star in Braun Strowman and really rebuild his character, I would do that. But overall, they didn't do that. They just had Bray lose, so they're going to continue the storyline. So to me, this was an okay match. Bray didn't look like a total weakling in a sense because it was the Fiend that didn't lose and all that stuff. If Bray loses, it's different. WWE was very smart about changing the different personas of the characters and all this stuff. But overall, I didn't really care for this match. The ending, it could be unpredictable and all this stuff. I think they put themselves in a corner, so they're extending this. If Bray Wyatt as the Fiend loses the match to Braun Strowman, the Fiend is dead, in my opinion, and that's something that cannot happen. But overall, it's an okay match. I gave it a C. This was one of my least favorite matches of the night. Next up is Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. This was the closest thing to a very, very good match. This was a B+ match. I enjoyed this match tremendously. The only problem I had with this thing is it was fairly predictable. We knew all the big high spots Seth Rollins was going to do to Drew McIntyre. We all knew the high spots Drew McIntyre was going to do to Seth Rollins. And overall, it was kind of predictable because for 2 matches before, the last 2 matches before this one, it was always the big up-and-comer as Tamina, the big up-and-comer Braun Strowman, taking on the weaker opponent Bayley, and then Bray Wyatt. So we got a very similar thing. Drew McIntyre was a bigger champion guy versus Seth Rollins, the littler opponent and all that stuff. So the shorter opponent, the one who's not as strong as the main challenger, the big guy. So overall, this match was a very good match. I enjoy what Drew McIntyre did with Seth Rollins. Drew was taunting Seth, because Seth was not getting a good shot. Then Seth did what Bayley did to Tamina, working on the leg, keeping Drew McIntyre down. He eventually there was a beautiful spot where Drew catches Seth Rollins into a belly-to-belly suplex, and he flips him over, throws him onto the announce table, which looked brutal as hell. Then he puts him back in the ring, does a couple more of those belly-to-bellies, and it's going good. And he does like a flying clothesline. Seth gets out of the ring and all that stuff. He uses his advantage. There's some great moments with Seth doing a flying arrow to Drew McIntyre with the combo with the suplex as well, with the Falcon Arrow and all this stuff. So it was a very, very solid match. This match had a lot of great intensity moments. You had Drew going for using the Future Shock DDT. You got Seth doing the super kicks, curve stomp, kick out. There's a lot of great moments of this match, but it's a very predictable outcome. It's a very predictable moveset, and to me, it was the best match of the night. But overall, the only reason why I didn't like it, because we all know what the ending was going to be. The matches I saw, the way because we've seen him wrestle like so many other times, but this is different. And the thing is, we're so familiar with Seth's moveset, Drew McIntyre's moveset, that we all knew where this entire thing was gonna go. So to me, this match was very, very good, very entertaining, but again, very predictable, like this pay-per-view. And now we're going to the god-awfulness of Vince McMahon and Money in the Bank. This pay-per-view, what the hell? You know how people were praising The Undertaker and AJ Styles cinematic thing in WrestleMania? When WWE hears something and the people like it, they're going to overdo it. And they did it again. When you think of Money in the Bank, we think of ladders, high spots, and all that stuff. We got none of that. I'm not even sure how long this match lasted, but I think the first 15 minutes was just them starting off at the bottom of the floor, then going up the elevator, starting the match, and then climbing up to the top. They meet Paul Heyman, Stephanie McMahon, and Vince McMahon. I could not stand this match. They made it into a gimmick match. This was absolutely god-awful. I did not like the Undertaker AJ Styles one. And a lot of people love it. I didn't care for it. I didn't care for this one either. This was terrible for this Money to Make. They made none of these wrestlers look strong. None of these superstars look good at the end. And WWE wonders why their reigns are in the tank. Because you create bad storytelling. If you were to do 2 Money to Make matches where you actually use the ladders to your advantage and you actually show some cool different stunts, some different movesets, people will be entertained by that. People want to see that. The only thing that we don't know is the outcomes. And to me, all the outcomes were to me shit in a sense. Because here's the thing. I would be okay, and here's another thing. Asuka, like the women's Money in the Bank matches and the men's Money in the Bank, the same time it happened. So, when the women are going up the one side of the building, the men are going the other side, the elevators, stairs, whatever. And they're just chasing around, just hitting each other with stuff. And then they leap to the roof where the Money in the Bank ladder is and all this stuff to get the ladder and all this stuff. And to me, I wouldn't mind a Money in the Bank on a rooftop of a building. That looked cool, that looked interesting, that looked different. It looked very unique when we got up there, but it took a while to get up there. And the women who won the Money in the Bank was Asuka. Here's the thing. I do not like this version of Asuka. I like the Asuka in NXT. I liked her when she was called up to the main roster. But this screaming Asuka, acting all crazy and shit, I do not want. The only time I want Asuka now, she has Money in the Bank, the only person I want her to catch us on is Charlotte Flair so she could go back to NXT. Because Charlotte's not helping NXT, and I don't want to see Asuka versus Becky again. We don't need to see Bayley versus Asuka because I think Bayley has her own good thing. Surprisingly, SmackDown has the best storyline for the women's for Bayley and Sasha Banks in the future. But right now, Asuka as a Money in the Bank leader, no. And another thing, I hate the fact that they have destroyed Shayna Baszler, one of the best NXT Women's Champion of all time. The fact that Becky has not been really on TV all this time, and Shayna Baszler is not champion, is atrocious. Shayna should have won since she dominated most of the entire fucking match, and she dominated the Women's Elimination Chamber. She lost this. Asuka wins by hitting Baron Corbin down and getting the briefcase. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Shayna Baszler is dead. And Asuka, if even let her cash in. I hope they change her. She needs to get away from Kyrie saying this guy Pirates needs to die and all that stuff because they didn't do nothing for the tag team titles. Again, WWE's 50% booking. I cannot stand. I cannot stand what they did in this god-awful main event. A gimmick match for the Money in the Bank should never be. It's the Money in the Bank match. Use ladders. Use it for the majority of the match. Not a freaking gimmick match. And you know how I was saying about, like, over things, like how WWE, like, so when people say they like something, WWE's going to overly go into it. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match winner is Otis. Here's the thing, I like Otis, but you know what you need to do? You need to build up heavy machinery. You need to build them up. You need to have Tucker back. Right now, Otis is a single star. Tucker is gone. Heavy machinery might as well be gone. You need to build up Otis. He got the girl Mandy Rose. You could give him Tucker and Mandy managing them, and then they get the tag team titles. Build them up, because the only we have is Lucha House Party, which is not built up. New Day, because we've seen way too many times with the title. You don't build up John Morrison and The Miz. Again, they lost the title right now. Random episode of SmackDown, even though they defended at WrestleMania. Stupid. You destroyed them. And then the Forgotten Sons, they're new. You gotta build them up. The main thing is get Tucker and Otis as the tag team champions. Build them as a great team. No, you're gonna give the Money in the Bank to Otis. Not Aleister Black, who's been on a roll. Rey Mysterio doesn't need it. AJ Styles doesn't need it. Who else was in this one? I don't even know. I didn't even care who was in there. Oh my god, who was it? Daniel Bryan, he didn't need it. He's Daniel freaking Bryan. Baron Corbin, don't make me laugh if you give him the Money in the Bank. It was only Aleister Black. That was the only logical choice. Otis. I don't know where they're gonna go with this. Are they gonna have to actually the balls to give him the title? He's gonna be like Kofi Kingston's title reign. Oh, you're gonna give him? He's gonna be the same old Otis. Otis is not to me worthy of being a world champion just yet. You could build him up. He's an over popular superstar. Give him the tag team titles. I don't know where this is gonna lead to. I honestly don't know where they're gonna lead to this stuff. The best thing about this stuff, the fact that AJ Styles still having premonitions about Undertaker, and he says kind of like had this post-match stress disorder. That's the only thing I like about this. This was not a Money in the Bank match. This was a straight-up gimmick match, which was terrible, god-awful, piece of shit, bullshit writing. I cannot stand what they did with WWE with Money in the Bank. The wrong winners, especially. I mean, again, when people tell me this is a good pay-per-view, okay, for the most part, it was good. For the most part, the pay-per-views were good. But this shit, most of the matches of the pay-per-view were good. But the Money in the Bank ladder match itself, the title of the entire freaking pay-per-view, was atrocious bullshit. This is like if the Elimination Chamber, it's the same thing like if Elimination Chamber, all the Elimination Chamber matches sucked, but the ones that didn't have Elimination Chamber were the greatest thing. And that's just terrible. So yeah, everyone, what do you all think of WWE Money in the Bank 2020? You think it was a great show? You think it was a good show? Do you think WWE could get their head out of their asses for a change? You think I'm being too harsh on them and just be like, oh, well, it's during COVID-19, you gotta take it easy on them. I will not take it easy on them with this shit. Bad shit happens in the world. It doesn't excuse bad writing or being less responsible for certain stuff. You have bad ratings in the tank, to change the management. Get rid of Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon needs to go. But someone else in charge other than him. And don't oversaturate things. But no. This company. You hate what it's the same thing what's going on with Hollywood with like Star Wars and like Jurassic Park, Terminator. I mean, this is just you think you're depressed during COVID-19 now? Watch WWE Money in the Bank. Watch WWE programming every single day. Oh my God, this is sports entertainment? No, sirree, Bob, it's not sports entertainment. This was a joke. And that was you're like, well, you could do it better. I could do it better. You give me the same amount of resources they got. Anybody could put a better show than what they did. This is a piss poor example of WWE. Money in the Bank 2020. Good luck. Sayonara. Gonna forget about it. And it's just utter disappointment. Poor Shayna Baszler. Alright, everyone. I'm going to get out of here. Let me know what y'all think, everyone. Grab your flag, disagree on bomb, leave a comment below, let me know, respect your opinion, respect yours. Where's your personal opinion about everybody about the WWE Money in the Bank? Did you think it was a good match? You think it was a good pay-per-view? You think it was awesome? You think the right people won? What's your personal opinion, everybody? Go on, debate me, talk to me about this stuff. Let me know what y'all think, everyone. My name's Lisa. Everybody. Bye.